Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hispanic Patriot Podcast, a weekly podcast broadcast live from a secret, undisclosed location here in the heart of the battleground state of Colorado. We are proud to welcome our many new subscribers to the channel. Here we speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God. My name is Nicholas Razo, and without further ado, I present to you all our fearless patron, Hugo Chavez Ray. Take it away, Hugo.
All right, welcome everyone to the Hispanic Patriot broadcast. We are here once again to bring you some important information. We've got a pretty full slate tonight, including a redo of our interview with GOP chair candidate Darcy Schoening. So we're going to be playing that for you, and then we'll roll into the rest of our evening events. So. Without further ado, we want to start off by mentioning the upcoming Colorado Republican Centennial Dinner. That is the biennial dinner that is held traditionally the night before the State Central Committee meeting, which this year will be March 29th, and the dinner is on Friday evening, the 28th. Now, the venue had to be moved a couple of times due to threats of protests by radicals who don't like Steve Bannon. And so, unfortunately, a couple of the venues that we had lined up as a party decided that they weren't going to host it. And so, as we speak, the venue is up in the air, but our leadership has assured us that the event will go forth, and so we'll be waiting to hear about the new venue. And
the show will go on.
The show will go on. Protest or no protest, we don't back down from pajama people and all these idiots that think that they intimidate anybody with their little black masks and all this other junk.
Yeah, rainbows aren't exactly the most intimidating, and neither is an all-black canvas either, my friends.
I would send one platoon of Marines in there and let's see what happens.
You could send CHR's chairman alone, and he would count as a platoon to these guys.
Yep.
Shout out to Ray.
So anyway, that's some news there. And I wanted to bring that up because there's been a lot of rumors on social media about the event being canceled and that we're not going to get to have the dinner, etc. That is not true.
Don't worry about that, folks.
Stop reading people that don't know what they're talking about. Okay.
You should stop doing that anyways, folks. If the enemy's dumb, don't bother with it,
Unfortunately, some of the people that have been disseminating that are people that we know, and bless their heart, they're just not. They're
sounding the alarm, but sometimes false alarms, they happen, but we got to shut them down as soon as we know they're false. That's just what we're doing here.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to now roll into the recorded interview that we did with Darcy Schoening. And then after that, we'll come back on with some additional information for you. So right now we have Darcy in studio, and here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hispanic Patriot Podcast. Here we have a special edition interview with Darcy Schoening, who is... How do you pronounce your name, Darcy?
Schoening.
Schoening. There we go. Very good. And we have a very special interview for you guys. Here we have Hugo Chavez Ray, our co-host. Take it away, Hugo.
All right. Welcome to Darcy interview take 2. We had some technical issues last time. We probably didn't get to see her very well, so we're going to upload this to our show tomorrow, and so people can see it. So you can advertise it and get people to watch it. So as we know, we have the upcoming chairman's race on the 29th of March at the Central Committee meeting, the biennial meeting, and we will be electing a new set of officers. And Darcy is presented herself for candidate as chair of the Colorado GOP. So we have a few questions for Darcy that we want to run by. So in the meantime, or to get started, we're going to have Darcy. We want to have you introduce yourself to the audience and give us a brief background of why you want to run for chair.
Sure. Thank you, Hugo. Thanks for having me back on, you guys. I love your show. So I am Darcy Schoening. I'm the current Director of Special Initiatives for the Colorado GOP. So for the last several years, I've been writing policies to protect local school boards, city councils, and county commissions from Governor Polis and the legislature's overreach. I ran a ballot initiative last year to prevent transgender surgeries on minors. I also led and passed the historic endorsement of President Trump by the Colorado GOP. And I spend most of my time really just doing whatever the state of Colorado needs me to do. I know that sounds kind of silly, but really people just reach out to me as they have issues, and I'm just known as somebody that brings the party together. Recently in Washington D.C., I orchestrated a giant cocktail party for the Colorado delegation, and it was not just both sides of the party, it was like all 300 sides of the party. Everyone was there. It was awesome. I run the Capitol Club. Before I was with the Colorado GOP, I was the chair of Moms for Liberty. So Christy Davis from Moms for Liberty and I, we go around the state and we pass policies at the school district level that protect students. So one of the most recent examples is House Bill 1039, non-legal name changes, which allows schools to use pronouns for kids without parental consent. We were able to get dozens of school districts to go ahead and require parental consent or even opt out of that pronoun bill. So it's important to testify at the legislature and work to get state candidates elected, but we also have to focus on local. We have to focus on which policies we can utilize to push back on those awful laws. And then we want to build our local benches. So to that end, I created the Bob Initiative, Build Our Benches, and we're recruiting really good school board candidates from across the state. We're going to take back seats in 2025 from the school boards and hold on to our critical seats. And I have almost $200,000 in donor commitments as of right now. I expect that as we go into summer, that'll double or triple. The same donors that have that confidence in me to run the state party and have been pledging money to Bob are the same donors that are funding my chair campaign. And that's how confident that they are. They're like, we want you, we trust you with our money. So I'm going to use that confidence and use that momentum that we have from this last set of elections. We're going to win in the 2025 school board elections, build that momentum and the processes and infrastructure that my team and I are building out. And we're going to flip more state seats in 2025 and further build that donor confidence so that we can really start turning Colorado around. And I think that I've demonstrated that to the greater body. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and put my name in for chair. I want to do this. I have so much fun. I think you guys know every time you see me at an event, I'm hugging everybody. And I can't imagine a better job. I don't even think of it as a job. I think we're so blessed to live this life. So I'm excited to be running for chair. And I'm asking for your vote because I've demonstrated my work ethic and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to lead this state.
All
That's
right.
amazing. And I would agree with that. This is the life.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Well, it's some call it a thankless job, and it can be classified as that. But it can also be a rewarding job, and the reward comes from accomplishment and fighting back against uh, the powers that be that don't really have the best intentions for this state party. Um, I hear a lot of people talking about how the party is broken. I don't agree with that. The party is not broken. What's broken is a certain faction of this party that has taken it upon themselves to try to dismantle what we have built in the last 2 years and to personally attack the current chair on personal levels and other levels, almost to the point of libel. And I think that's what's been hurting. And everybody knows what happened last summer, so we won't go into any of that. But there are people who have not liked the grassroots movement that took over the party 2 years ago. And they've been after Dave Williams from day one.
Yeah.
So that's the part that we need to quash and get people back on the same page. And I'm not a vindictive type, but I also believe that if you're going to be remorseful, it has to be sincere, and that it has to be something that people can trust. Right now, there's a handful of people that I wouldn't trust as far as I could throw them. And so that's my personal opinion, by the way. Everybody's entitled to their own, but
and it's a real shame that we have to be in that mentality. And I think a lot of people are looking for the end of that paranoia, the end of that having to question things. I think that a lot of voters today are looking for a chairperson that they can say, you know what, this is somebody who I believe, Darcy, you used these words exactly, you could pull people together in a room and be able to work out things. And we actually made a video on the Hispanic Patriot very recently about diplomacy. So it seems like diplomacy is a huge part of your push. Is that not correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's diplomacy. It's just treating people like human beings. I mean, people
not a lot of that going around these days.
No, people call me all day for help with things, and or to help with my causes, or to help with candidates or whatever. And we don't have to like each other. We don't have to love each other. But I think it's through that hard work and that perseverance in our values that we do come to appreciate each other as human beings, that we do come to develop some sense of, I may not agree with this woman sitting next to me, but I appreciate her as a human being.
We in the Hispanic community know that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we have to get back to. And as a leader, that's what I bring to the table is, here is your clearly defined set of goals, which I've laid out. They're on my website. They're on pretty much every post that I make. And here's how we're going to go about achieving those goals. Because, a lot of people that are running for chair and a lot of people that are running for office in general, it's really easy to say, well, we need to have unity. We need to get candidates elected. We need to raise money. Okay, have you done that before? And can you tell me how you're going to do that?
Kind of bare minimum at that point.
Right. And that's where they fall apart. And so I believe that if somebody like me who's already doing this hard work and developing these processes and these systems and putting out data for people, it's really just a matter now of saying, okay, look, now I'm the chair. This is how we're going to go about Colorado. We've got a process. We've got people. Everybody's working in the same direction. Here's the things that work. Here's the things that don't work. Now let's get our job done. And when you do have those conflicts, you're exactly right, Nick. It's time to pull two people into a room and say, you guys can't just act like idiots all day. I mean, you got to.
As fun as it can be.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Okay. People can use buzzwords all they want, but you want to talk about unity, then show me. That's the way I look at
it.
I'm kind of from Missouri in that sense. I need to be shown that what you're saying matches what you do, and I haven't seen that from several of the candidates in this race. So the bottom line for me as a voter,
hello,
as a Republican, are you there? What happened? Did we lose her
for a second? And I'm not sure why.
Good thing it's not live, but
yeah, right. We got this.
So what did you say about unity, Hugo?
Well, what I was saying is that talk is cheap. Anybody can say unity, that they want unity, but their actions say something else. Then it's meaningless to say the word. And to me, the people that were behind the movement last summer to unseat Chairman Williams, had they come to their senses and come forward and say, perhaps we had good intentions, but we did it the wrong way. We didn't follow the rules. We apologize for that. And we want to move forward as Republicans to fight the common enemy, which we know is on the left. But there are people within our party, sad to say, that in my opinion, are closet Democrats in the way that they act and that the way that they interact with Republicans in general. They want to take our party, and this is my pet peeve. They want to take our party to the middle or to the left. And to me, that's not being a Republican. If we're going to be a party that stands on principle, then we stand on the principle and we fight and die on that hill, and we don't compromise our values. And this is what some people just have a hard time understanding. They think that, oh, we're creating some sort of purity test. No, it's right there in our platform. It clearly says what we're supposed to be about. And if you are a Republican candidate or a Republican officer and you don't and cannot abide by those rules in the platform, then in my book, you're not a Republican. Yeah. That's it. It's not a purity test. It's just common sense. So why would you want to join a club that you don't agree on its principles? You know, right. And we are a club, by the way. People think, oh, we're a public entity. We're not a public entity. We're a private club.
Why would Republicans be government owned, right?
Right. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your qualifications for the position of chairman. That, you know, in your mind, what distinguishes you from the other candidates?
Well, I'm a doer. I don't just talk the talk. I walk in my words and in my convictions. And I think, as you guys have seen, as everybody has seen, I'm always there for the party. When there's something going down, whether it's Colorado Springs or Durango or a state law or whatever's happening, you can pretty much guarantee that I'm there. Darcy's there. And so there's no reason to think that I won't continue doing my job to the best of my abilities, because that's who I am. So I've demonstrated to the voters that I'm ready to lead. I put in the work, and that's what we need. We can't just have a chair that shows up for 5 minutes of microphone time across the state. We have to have a chair that's doing the work, showing others how to do the work.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you the tough question that everybody's asking others out there, and that is, should you be unsuccessful in your bid, do you pledge to stand behind the eventually elected chair and still work for the betterment of the party?
Of course. I mean, this is no different than the primaries, you know, where we beat each other up a little. This is kind of like that. But, you know, when it's all said and done, we'll all be here for the party. I will support whoever's chair, and hopefully they do a great job, but I'll be there to help regardless.
Okay. Well, I think that's been going around social media lately. Some people accusing others of either name calling or bashing, and my position was, and I told them all, I said, knock it off. It's time to be forthright in what you represent and what you want to bring to the position.
Yeah.
It's not here to bash a fellow candidate or to paint them in a bad light. It's okay to be factual. It's not okay to be personal, if that makes any sense. So there are currently, as we know, 2 lawsuits that the state party is involved with, one of which is the open primaries challenge lawsuit, and the other is the one where 3 individuals are being sued for their participation in the draining of valuable party funds last summer in the attempted removal of party officers. So by what I call a rogue group of individuals. They even went as far as having their little fake election and announcing to the world, for anyone that was listening, that they were the new GOP leadership.
It kind of reminded me of the anti-popes in the medieval ages as a historian.
So in answer to those 2, do you, as chair, pledge to continue both of those lawsuits?
Yes. So the first lawsuit, Prop 108, I've been extremely supportive of, and, you know, we've got to close our primaries. So not only will I continue that lawsuit, but I will also work on other fronts to close the primaries. I think the last time I was on your show, I mentioned that I have met with several Democrat legislators and the chair of the Democrat Party, and they do have an interest in some bipartisan legislation to close the primaries because although their values are vastly different, they do have one or two that are similar to ours, right? They want candidates that represent their party, and they don't want bought and paid for candidates that are just propped up by the Democrat donors. So there is some hope there as well. And then the lawsuit for
So are you talking, hold on a second, are you talking through action through this legislature that would eliminate Prop 108?
Yeah.
Or you are?
Yeah.
Okay, that I would have to roll over if that happened.
I know.
But
I know.
I trust what you're telling me, that you've had the conversation.
Yeah.
But color me skeptical on that. But
Yeah.
you know, I do happen to know that because I heard it a while back that the Democrats don't like the open primaries any more than we do.
They don't.
The problem with that, though, is that they're happy that we are hurt as a party more than they are, because we end up with really weak candidates in the general election as a result of the open primaries, because we had an overwhelming number of either Democrats or independents that were basically selecting our candidates. Now, we're also at fault as a party because the participation level from our own registered Republicans is really severely lacking. So that's another issue altogether. But that's something that I think needs to be addressed. If people are going to gripe about the open primaries and or having a voice in the selection of candidates, but then turn around and not even bother to send in their ballot during a primary, then, you know, how does that make any sense? That doesn't make any sense. So we need to make sure that Republicans that are registered are duty bound to vote in those primaries. Otherwise, it's just, you know, kind of water under the bridge, so to speak, because the participation level, and you can look at the last 3 or 4 primary cycles and see that out of the 900,000 plus Republicans, very few voted in those primaries.
Right, exactly.
So that's a big question then, Miss Lizzie. I would like to know, how are you interested in getting those Republicans participating and excited about participating?
Well, I mean, you know, I've talked about this a little bit recently. We've talked about primary neutrality some, right? Like there's some people that think it's good to go ahead and endorse down ballot. There's others that think it's extremely damaging. Here's what I think. I think if you put accurate information out about the candidates and make it easy to find and talk about which candidates made it through assembly versus which candidates signatured on, and you ask those candidates questions about their Second Amendment involvement, about parental choice, about what they've done to stand for our kids, and then we put that information out there.
Pro-life issues.
Yeah, exactly. Pro-life issues. Then we're empowering Republican voters, right? We're giving them the tools that they need to be able to vote. And I think that it's a lot of times it's as simple as that. I mean, we know who we want to vote for in the primary, right? Because the 3 of us on this call are politically engaged and we're active. But if you ask somebody like my father, my parents live in Scottsdale, he still works, he's 70 years old. Hey, who are you going to vote for in the Senate primary in Arizona? He's going to be like, what? I mean, I wait till the general and I fill out ours.
Yeah.
So
well, this is the part that I think goes to the party's responsibility to educate the electorate, and that is, okay, we have primaries so that we can select the best candidate or candidates to go forth to the general election ballot. Now, sometimes we end up with 1, sometimes we end up with 2.
Right.
But the point is that if the voters are not educated about who the candidates are, we end up like with people like O'Day and Anderson, okay, who, in my opinion, are not Republicans, okay.
Right.
they differed way too much with our platform. And when and I know this because I had a personal interview with Mr. O'Day during the last time he ran in the primaries, and I asked him point blank, I said, how can you claim to be a Republican and not adhere to the platform? And his opinion was, well, I had to follow my conscience. And I said, no, a candidate is supposed to be a representative of the people who elect him.
Oh, I know, Hugo. That drives you up a wall when you hear that consciousness stuff.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not voting for you to vote your conscience. I'm voting for you to represent me and the thousands of others in your district that say, this is the way we want you to govern.
A politician's conscience? I had never heard of something less valuable.
Well, we're Republicans. We're not Joe O'Dayans, right?
Exactly.
Like, I want our values to be protected in advance, not Joe's. And anybody who says, well, it's important for me as an elected to vote my conscience, it's like, no, you let your ego and your opinion of your own intelligence get in the way of advancing party values. And that's exactly who we don't need in any elected position.
That was a great way to put that right there. And I also like how you said it to sort of summarize is that soldiers like to fight when they have ammunition. Yeah, education. That was a fantastic point.
Thank you.
So it boils down to electing senators who are going to represent and representatives who are going to represent, not those that are going to go to Washington or to the state house and vote their conscience, because that's not what I'm interested in.
Vote their ego. That was a good way of putting it. Their ego of how intelligent they think they are.
But their ego. I mean, this is a job. We elected them. We're paying them.
Really.
What if I worked at Walmart and I went into work and I said, you know what, boss, I don't want to stock the shelves. I'm gonna do my conscience today.
Yeah. My
Sounds like a communist utopia.
My conscience tells me to put the breakfast cereal over in the produce section.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. People eat fruit with their cereal, so it should be over there.
Yeah.
That sounds like some Joe Biden logic right there.
Well, right. So where else do we allow that type of nonsense where
exactly.
personalities get in the way? And we can't tolerate it here either.
But I think those are the things that need to be brought out by the state party in forceful ways, so that people that are watching that may want to be candidates can say, oh, okay, this is the way it's going to work, not the other way. So,
well, and that might actually be a great challenge, which is actually a great question for you, Darcy. What do you consider to be your biggest challenge in this campaign?
For me personally, or for the state party? Like,
I would say for your team and for the people trying to get you elected, those who support you, what would be the biggest challenge for helping others to understand why they should vote for you?
Sure. So I would say that my two biggest challenges, I've been very blunt about them. There is, as Hugo just aptly described, there's a small section of the party that has Dave derangement syndrome. And
yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah. And they're like, well, you worked for Dave, so I hate you. And it's like, I work for the state party. I work for the chairman. And I've been working hard for all of you for years and years and years. So again, we have
undeniably.
Yeah, they conveniently forget that other part.
Right.
Well, I've been working for the state party, which benefits you as a party member.
Yeah. And it's back to personality. And I have to tell you, you guys, I don't know how many people realize this. 90% of the work that I do is totally volunteer. I don't make any money. I lose money. Okay. So, and that's fine. But to say, well, you're associated with this person, so I don't want to work with you. Again, we have the personality issue. So I would say that that's a big challenge. But we work through that pretty efficiently. I'm able to say, yes, I work for Dave. Dave's been a great chair. Dave's been a great boss. I've really enjoyed it. We're not the same person, though. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just like Hugo and Nick aren't the same people. We have to just appreciate each other.
God, no.
Yeah, really. Why would I want to be a boomer?
I know.
And Hugo, why would you want to be a millennial? Life sucks for us. Democrats have ensured of that.
I know. I know.
And I tell my wife that if I had a time machine, I would take trips back to the 60s because I had a lot of fun.
I want to go to the 60s. And then I would say
I kind of want to. Well, I'll join Hugo in the 60s.
Exactly. I would say the other challenge is there are some people that are like, Darcy's kind of fiery, like she's kind of forceful and aggressive, and like, she just goes into stuff head first, and then she'll say things in the media that are too much for me. And so there's a little audience that's like that. But here's what I tell people. Look, that's Trump too. That's President Trump too. He's passionate. He's fiery. That's how he gets stuff done. This is who I am. And I'm not going to allow the left to water me down or make me boring or change the way that I speak.
That's right.
What I will say there is that as chair, my comms team will look at stuff so that, it's not just Darcy sending stuff out every day in my passionate way of speaking. And the next thing you know, we've got World War III in Colorado. That's what we don't want. But yeah, there are some people that are like, she's pretty aggressive. And I'm like, yes, I am. And that's what you need. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, they never accuse the Democrats of being too aggressive.
Never.
Never.
They're about as aggressive as they come.
That's really what we need also in the state party is to feel protected as Republicans, to be able to go up to people and say, I am a Colorado Republican and I feel protected and I feel supported when I say that, when we convert others to our cause.
All right. So we're up against the clock. So we're going to give you a quick chance to give a closing statement and ask for the vote. So go.
Thank you so much for having me on, you guys. Thank you for all you do for the Colorado Hispanic Republicans, and this podcast, Hispanic Patriot, is great. It's really important that in the next set of elections, which is the school boards, that we really elevate the Hispanic vote, meet the Hispanics in their communities where they are, but to take that a step further, just all voters that we can bring to our side. I don't care if they're Democrats, if we can bring them to our party by showing them that the Republican Party does better in Colorado, our kids do better in school, our communities are safer, cleaner. That's what it means to be a Republican. We saw that in this 2024, people are tired. They're tired of how they're living in Denver. They're tired of being told that if they don't accept the mutilation of children, that they're a bigot, that if they don't accept BLM flags in the schools, that they're a racist. I mean, it is time. I have been fighting the left in Colorado year after year after year, and I'm happy to do it, right? Loss after loss, and then a little win. And we're like, yay, like we protected a couple kids. We won in the city over here. We won in Palmer Lake. We did this. Now is our time. So we have President Trump behind us, the federal government. We are winning day after day. So imagine what somebody like me, with my strong voice, my aggression, the work that I consistently put in every day, imagine what I can do now with President Trump and with the federal government's help. We don't have to keep losing. We've got help now. And I'm so excited to run for chair and to lead you guys into the new Trump era. This is going to be our time. We're going to start turning Colorado back. So I am your leader to do that. And I'm asking for your vote for Colorado GOP chair. Thank you.
All right. And we're going to ask you to make a pledge right here on the air. And that is that you will come on the Hispanic Patriot once a month to report to us the progress of the party.
He's an aggressive negotiator, isn't he?
I'll be on once a week. I'll be on whenever you want, Hugo. You know that.
Oh, all right.
Sounds good. Nick, you guys are my friends. I love you guys. Anything you need.
I love you too, man. And we appreciate the work you do. And thanks
Darcy Schoening,
to have you.
Thanks.
Candidate for chair, Colorado GOP, March 29th. Be there or be square.
Thank
you, Darcy. Good luck on the campaign.
Thank you.
Take care.
I do.
All right. That was our interview with Darcy Schoening, candidate for chair. And right on cue and right on time, we have our guest from the Capitol, the state Capitol, our good friend Shume Navarro, who is going to give us the lowdown of what's taking place at the Capitol behind our backs.
And y'all need to know that.
Without further ado, let's bring in Shume. Hello, Shume.
Hi. How are you doing?
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I'm luckily not at the Capitol right now. I'm in the comfort of my own home.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, but it has been crazy. This is my first time working as a legislative aide, and it has been, I started really excited, like thinking it was going to be like, oh, this is so cool. And then the villain story has clicked in, and I'm seeing how terrible the Dems really are and how unreasonable it is. It's just insane.
Welcome to politics, right, ma'am?
Yeah, seriously.
Shume, if you want to introduce yourself to our audience, let them know who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Shume Navarro. I've been an activist locally for, a couple of years. It was kind of the COVID years that drew me in big time. I kind of actually started in 2016 because Trump. I went to my first caucus, became a precinct leader, kind of started filling out all of the stuff with local politics with the counties. I was secretary of the Arapahoe County GOP for a season. I was on the Colorado Hispanic Republicans for a bit too, and I've just have been able to help different candidates throughout the couple of years that I've been involved with websites, with communications, and any sort of marketing aspects that I could help with. So I've just have found myself to Representative Brandy Bradley. We were both fighting for our children to not be masked and fighting against vaccines. And she was doing it actively in Douglas County, and I was in Arapahoe County. And just a friendship bloomed, and she asked me to come and help her in the Capitol, and so now I'm there.
Very nice, very nice. Take it away, Hugo.
Doing a good job from what I understand. So
Thank you.
go ahead and we wanted to get a lowdown from you from the inside. Give us some of your insights as to what's been taking place at the Capitol and what the Democrats have been trying to shove through in this session.
Yeah, well, my focus and Rep. Brandy, I mean, she's an awesome advocate for the Second Amendment, and so she fights definitely for the gun bills. But that's not my strong suit. I'm more for parental rights and against stuff with safety with our kids, with transing them and all that kind of stuff. So something that was just recently in committee with Rep. Bradley last week was on Tuesday. It was House Bill 12, I think 1253. And this one was it was kind of called the Dysphoria Act. And this one was to keep, to kind of protect minors from having gender affirming care from being, put on to them when they're as minors. So anyone under 18 or 16, I believe, was where that bill fell. And that was a little bit more of a messaging bill. It was in committee under the Health and Human Services. And, it just kind of falls against flat deaf ears. We had 9 doctors show up to give testimony about how it's not good for youth to be put on the opposite hormones and all that stuff. And they don't care at all. We had trans people and trans activists come in very angry and aggressive. And
as they tend to be, unfortunately.
Yes. I mean, how could you not be when you're, pumped up with all these hormones and testosterone?
That was funny. I was thinking that exact thing, man.
It's
obvious to us Republicans. Now it's just getting the Democrats to understand.
Yeah, but they go in there and they know what they're going to vote, and so there's really no convincing them. As many people as you show up, which is awful. And so that fell, died in committee. And then the next day was one that was a beautiful bill, and it was beautiful. That's a terrible word for this one, but it was House Bill what was it? 1073. It's hard to remember all of these numbers. And that one was to basically create better sentencing for criminals who are convicted of raping a child, essentially. In the state of Colorado, only 70% of convicted criminals who are who got in trouble for like felony stage 3 or 4, they are just given a slap on the wrist and they are just put back into the community. They are given probation. They are not given sentencing, any sort of jail time. And this one was crazy. It was heard in front of the Judicial Committee, which is dubbed the Kill Committee, and it's a bunch of lawyers. Oh my God, I really cannot stand these people.
Well, I think killing the working class and the American people is probably where I want to put it. You know, it seems like very violent offenders get slaps on the wrist, but everyday Americans have to face charges of all kinds for all kinds of nonsense.
Well, and the pontification of the predators, the pedophiles, that they cared more about. One of them, Rep. Garcia, she's a Democrat. She was like, we didn't even, in her closing statements, was more concerned that if we send a pedophile into jail, that is a inhumane, because they have a 40% chance of being raped themselves. Mind you,
that's just democracy right there, if you think about it. You know, the prisoners have a vote on who they do that to, and yeah, they don't like pedophiles. And funny how that works. Even criminals have more honor than some Democrats.
Exactly. And like, let's be more concerned about that guy, the criminal, the one who raped a child and not the child. It was the committee didn't even start until 8 p.m. and it lasted until like nearly 3 a.m. in the morning.
Well, unfortunately, it sounds like these people are used to doing their dirty work at night, if that's the kind of
dark of night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's hard to find people to come and give public comment. We still had survivors come and share. We had George Brockler come and share, because he was representing all of the DAs. They all supported this. And it just died. And that was very shocking. That took a couple days for me to like come to my senses. That was my villain story, I'll say.
Well, thank you for sharing with it, for sure.
Having testified down there myself, and this was a few years back, I was just disgusted by the attitude of the committee. Half of them were playing with their phones while people were testifying.
Yeah.
They were doodling on their pads and really not really interested in what anybody was having to say.
Almost blocking out, it seems like, because Shume, you described that these things were just so obvious to anyone. Please, Hugo.
So it's obvious that their mind is made up before the hearings, and that nothing you say or do is going to sway them from their appointed duties of running radical bills through the legislature. And really, even I got to believe there's Democrats out there from these districts that don't support what these people do, but yet they still turn around and vote for them.
And that's the shocking thing. That's why I think this one, particularly with the child rape bill, I think if telling people, no matter what side of the aisle they are on, that people who rape children get a slap on the wrist here in the state of Colorado, that is shocking no matter what side you're on. And then to follow it up with, and the Democrats wanted to keep it that way, I think that needs to be like shouted from the rooftops.
I agree.
Because that's something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so something with Rep. Bradley, I don't know if you guys know her. She is she has a loud mouth, and that's why we get along so well. And she will go and she will she'll go viral. I mean, on this bill, her closing statements was just shared by Libs of TikTok, and another big group, but they hate the Duran. She's the speaker, not the speaker of that. She's the majority leader.
Mm-hmm.
Because Rep. Bradley does such a good job at letting people know what's happening under the dome. They have vowed to kill all of her, to work against her and to kill all of her bills. And because they do not want people to know what's happening under the dome, because if they do, they'd be so shocked. So that's why I appreciate you letting me come on here and tell you guys what's happening, because it's appalling.
We appreciate having a voice from the Capitol, and we hope to have you on, on a regular basis to help us out and give us the lowdown, because we can't be everywhere, obviously. And, anytime that you feel something important is coming up or going to be discussed, definitely give me a shout out, and we can get you on to report on it. So
Definitely.
we want to give a voice to the Capitol from the conservative side, as you know, every little bit helps. And I think the
Yes.
show is growing. Our following is growing. You know, we're over 4,500 followers on X now. And
Awesome.
what
Quickly
we want to
approaching
do,
300 on YouTube.
yeah, we've crossed our
Yay.
threshold on YouTube. So we want to grow all our platforms. And the way we do that is by bringing people like you on, but also asking that you, with word of mouth, get the word out
Let
to
you know.
people and say, you know, we need to support this cause because this is our voice and we
Yeah.
want to help people understand what's going on from a non-biased position. Now, you can say we're
I'm a
biased
little
because we're
biased.
conservative, but we are definitely giving the truth and we're letting people, you know, have the wherewithal to decide for themselves what
Yeah.
they will support or not support. And hopefully
Yeah.
we'll be able to start getting out into the community too, doing some community events and reaching out to the people out on the street.
So you're
Yeah.
all going to want to be looking forward to that. Please, ma'am.
Yes, and the biggest thing that we need to do too is like change how we're in the minority. We need more seats, and if we can, win those back, or that would be amazing. It wouldn't be such a bloodbath all the time down there. It's
Give you guys
terrible.
some reinforcements would be good.
Oh, it'd be lovely. It would be so good.
Very
Um,
nice.
yeah.
So
Do you,
anyway, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. We got a few
definitely
more topics we got to get out, but
awesome.
we'll definitely keep in touch. And again, thank you.
Perfect.
Hope we're going to have a big election next week in the state party. So we're going to be
Oh yeah, I'm out of town, but I'll be crossing my fingers for everybody.
Very
all
nice. Look
right.
out for the Hispanic Patriot videos we will be shooting from there. So
Awesome.
we're always going to be pulling the curtain out and showing everybody what Oz really looks like.
Love it.
Shume
Awesome. Thank
Navarro,
you guys.
legislative
Thank
Bye.
you,
aide at the
ma'am.
state capitol. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Anytime.
All right.
Hello, Shume Navarro, everyone, and we deeply appreciate her. Guys, you are helping us grow. Please take some time, like, share, subscribe. That is what helps us get the interviews and get the people on the ground.
Word of mouth. Word of mouth. Yep.
Tell your friends, tell everyone.
All right. So now I want to segue over to an interesting part of our news here lately because the left, of course, was saying that President Trump couldn't do it. And I think
Not a good bet to make.
I think we're on the verge of peace between, I don't want to jinx it, but I think we're on the verge of peace between Ukraine and Russia. And it'll be a negotiated peace, and hopefully it'll take place very soon. So right now, I want to play this clip of our intrepid White House reporter, which is Carolyn Levitt. She's a rock star, and she's going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the
Ukraine. I do have a statement for you from the National Security Advisor and also the Secretary of State. First, I'd like to reiterate what the President said earlier following his call with President Zelensky this morning. He said he just completed a very good telephone call with President Zelensky. It lasted approximately 1 hour. Much of the discussion was based on the call made yesterday with President Putin in order to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their requests and needs. We are very much on track, and I will ask Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz to give an accurate description of the points discussed. That statement will be put out shortly. Well, I have that statement for you right here. Bear with me as I read it. Today, President Trump and Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky had a fantastic phone conversation. President Zelensky thanked President Trump for a productive start for the work of the Ukrainian and American teams in Jeddah on March 11th. The meeting of the senior officials from both nations significantly helped in moving toward ending the war. President Zelensky thanked President Trump for the support of the United States, especially the Javelin missiles that President Trump was first to provide in his efforts towards peace. The leaders agreed Ukraine and America will continue working together to bring about a real end to the war, and that lasting peace under President Trump's leadership can be achieved. President Trump fully briefed President Zelensky on his conversation with Putin and the key issues discussed. They reviewed the situation in Kursk and agreed to share information closely between their defense staffs as the battlefield situation evolved. President Zelensky asked for additional air defense systems to protect his civilians, particularly Patriot missile systems, and President Trump agreed to work with him to find what was available, particularly in Europe. The two leaders also agreed on a partial ceasefire against energy. Technical teams will meet in Saudi Arabia in the coming days to discuss broadening the ceasefire to the Black Sea on the way to a full ceasefire. They agreed this could be the first step toward the full end of the war and ensuring security. President Zelensky was grateful for the president's leadership in this effort and reiterated his willingness to adopt a full ceasefire. President Trump also discussed Ukraine's electrical supply and nuclear power plants. He said that the United States could be very helpful in running those plants with its electricity and utility expertise. American ownership of those plants would be the best protection for that infrastructure and support for Ukrainian energy infrastructure. President Zelensky also thanked President Trump for continuing to push humanitarian concerns, including the exchange of prisoners of war. He noted they had just had a successful exchange and thanked the president for his leadership on that. President Trump also asked President Zelensky about the children who had gone missing from Ukraine during the war, including the ones that had been abducted. And President Trump promised to work closely with both parties to help make sure those children were returned home. They agreed all parties must continue the effort to make a ceasefire work. The presidents noted the positive work of their advisors and representatives, especially Secretary Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, Special Envoy Kellogg, and others. The presidents instructed their teams to move ahead with the technical issues related to implementing and broadening the partial ceasefire. The presidents instructed their advisors and representatives to carry out this work as quickly as possible. The presidents emphasized that in further meetings, the teams can agree on all necessary aspects of advancing toward lasting peace and security.
All right.
All right.
Well, as a pro-Ukraine supporter myself, I am extremely happy to hear all of that.
Yes, it's good news. There's progress, and the left will be left with egg on their face once again.
Exactly, because they're calling Trump, and this really upsets me as a pro-Ukraine Trump supporter. They call him Putin's puppet. They call, all him so terrible names. It's ridiculous. What Trump is doing is threatening Russia's kneecaps right here. The energy sector is everything to Russia. And something actually, Hugo, that's just breaking, I just read this right before the show, is that Trump let several Russian licenses regarding access to the U.S. banking system expire without being renewed. And what this will do is make every sanction on Russia even more powerful than it was before. So Trump pressuring Ukraine, I think, really put Russia into a false sense of security, and now Trump is threatening their kneecaps. I think Putin is going to be showing how much power Trump has over the situation very soon, and I am very excited about it. This is what we wanted to see.
Yep, absolutely. So kudos to President Trump, the team that's been negotiating with both Ukraine and Russia, and we look forward to reporting that this war will be coming to a close and people can stop dying.
Exactly. Yes. And a big thanks to our dear Hispanic Cuban friend, Marco Rubio. We are so proud of him in the Hispanic community. He is a huge part of what is saving lives and saving Europe right now.
Yep. Now for another piece of good news, and this one involves the intrepid Elon Musk, whom the left has now
wants to burn at the stake.
Put a target on his back and want to burn down his dealerships and
his cars and everything.
And including death threats. By the way, he's had assassination threats. So
that's terrible.
But you know what? This is just precisely what we need the American people to see. And last night I saw the report and I was so happy. They had a poll. This is a CNN poll about the popularity of the Democrat Party at the moment. Guess where it was?
Lower than smallpox?
Below 20, below 30%. They're currently at 29%. And in other areas, they're at 21%.
Órale.
So there's more trust for Tren de Aragua than there is for Democrats.
Well, at least Tren de Aragua keeps their word. You know, when they say they're going to shank you, they're going to do it. When the Democrats say, we'll forgive your student loans, you know, that was never going to happen, was it?
So on that note, we want to share some good news about what took place yesterday, and that is the rescue of the astronauts.
Celebrations from SpaceX Mission Control, watching the successful return to Earth for astronauts Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore.
Butch, Sunny, on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
The SpaceX capsule landing off the coast of Florida. Even the dolphins were excited, many circling the capsule as crews prepared to hoist it onto the recovery ship. The capsule re-entered Earth, parachuting into the water shortly before 6 p.m. in perfect weather, clear skies, low winds, and calm seas.
This has been 9 months in the making, and I couldn't be prouder.
Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore emerging from the capsule, smiling and waving as they were put on reclining stretchers for routine medical exams. The two spent 9 months stuck in space at the International Space Station after arriving on a Boeing Starliner last June that experienced multiple problems. Their mission was supposed to last just 1 week. The SpaceX capsule was launched to bring them home.
We're certainly looking at Starliner very carefully. We're in the process of looking at that vehicle, looking at the helium system. We've got some candidate seals that we're going to replace. We'll get into some testing here over the summertime.
Recovery for the astronauts can take weeks or even months, although NASA does not expect Williams and Wilmore to have any long-term medical problems. 9 months in zero gravity takes a toll on the body.
Your muscles will come back, with the rehabilitation. Your bones will come back over time, but you have to be very careful with your bones because we've had a couple astronauts from long-duration spaceflight break their hips when they came home.
Now, while in space for 286 days, Williams and Wilmore circled the Earth more than 4,500 times, traveling 121 million miles. Steve and Natasha,
Pretty wild stats.
That's a lot of frequent flyer points right there.
For sure.
Well, at least they're trying to find a positive spin on it, right?
Unbelievable. But, to me, if you can't feel good about what Elon Musk did for these astronauts, then you are lower than a human being, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't care, Democrat, Republican, whatever. This is not about politics. This is about Americans who were rescued from space by a man who has given so much to this country and continues to give. And you've got people attacking him from all sides because they think that he's some sort of charlatan or that he wants to take our money. Yeah, a guy with $400 billion worth wants to take our money. Give me a break.
Well, Hugo, you know that no good deed goes unpunished. You know what I mean? But, you actually, I think, have a unique perspective on this because, you see, I was born post-apocalypse when we don't do space travel as much anymore. So this must be a point of pride for you, Hugo, because you literally saw our country. I don't want to date you too much, but you did see the country go to the moon.
Oh, I was 20 years old.
Exactly. And now we never go to space. We're so far behind.
I remember to this day, we gathered at a friend's house. There was about 20 of us actually just around the TV set and watching the lunar landing. And it was a part of history. I mean, it's one of those moments that you never forget where you were, what you did, who you were with, and the idiot deniers notwithstanding, America achieved something great and continues to do something great. And now we've got a man like Elon Musk who wants to take us to the next frontier, which is Mars. Now, God willing, I'll be around. He said yesterday on Hannity that it would be like 20 to 30 years from now that things would be, moving towards that goal. But if I don't see it from Earth, I'll be watching from heaven. That's for sure.
You absolutely will. And that would be amazing, right? The moon to Mars in one lifetime. Man, we got to keep Hugo alive, folks. You know what will help keep Hugo alive? We have a donate button on our page, and that would definitely help, help Hugo reach the point he deserves there.
That will go a long way.
It will. But if I might just say one thing, this is why I want to encourage every Republican to work very hard for Senate District 12, HD 17. We want to have the Air Force and the Army bases, the people that make space militarized. Because I think you agree, Hugo, space is the ultimate military frontier, not just civilian frontier, which means we want Republicans representing our great military bases here in Colorado. They are too important to be represented by Democrats. So, folks, we want to make sure our military is very well protected and in space, as well as our civilians. SpaceX can make both happen.
Yep. And I have one parting shot for Mr. Kelly, who called Elon Musk an a-hole.
Take your best shot, Hugo. Let's see it.
Take a hike.
Hey, we got a lot of places you could do that in here in Colorado, man, but we don't want to see you here, so find somewhere else.
Absolutely. And that about does it for tonight. We're up against the clock. It's been a great show. Hope you enjoyed the interview for Darcy, our talk with Shume Navarro from the state capitol, giving us some insights on some of the bills, and we'll have her on more. And hopefully we've disseminated some information for you today. So Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and like.
Never forget that.
We thank you for your attention and bid you a good night.